Hello and welcome. I'm Andrew MCleod, Chief Executive Officer of Finance Feeds. And today, joining me in the studio is Anne Kuznetsov, Chief Executive Officer of GameStar Search, which is a specialist talent acquisition specialist which searches specifically for professionals in the digital and online sector. Hello Anne, nice to see you.
Thanks, Andrew, and thanks for having me.
My pleasure. Certainly this is a specific field which has been, certainly in my opinion, our industry is sorely lacking. Would you agree with that?
I would agree, and that's one of the reasons that we actually decided to focus on this industry. It's a very fast-growing market, lots of companies hiring, and we find that as a headhunting company from abroad, that was an area that we really wanted to explore and actually provide our services to.
Yes, makes perfect sense. There have been many attempts at starting up recruitment companies, but not here. This specific model that you've got is very interesting because you chose to start up in what is effectively a electronic and digital high-tech hub for the whole world, really, Tel Aviv, Israel. Why did you choose specifically Tel Aviv over somewhere like San Francisco, for example?
Okay, good question. So basically, that is exactly what we did initially. We explored all the different geographies. We've looked at San Francisco Bay. We looked at Europe, specifically Berlin, which is also a hub, and Tel Aviv. And what we've discovered is that for us as a newly established recruitment company to really break into the industry and actually be noticed, we need to firstly provide something different and ideally go into a market that has a deficiency in that service. San Francisco Bay is an example. It's very established. There are lots of very good recruitment firms that already provide that service, and we didn't feel that we would be able to offer anything of different, really. Same with Berlin. Europe as a whole, it's very, very developed. Israel, on the other hand, it's one of those spaces that is growing at a fast pace.
Very fast.
I think that's the issue, that the service industries are not really up to speed with how fast the industry is growing. So hence we saw a gap in the market and we wanted to fill that gap.
It makes sense, and it certainly that worked out really well from what I understand. From when you think about it like this, you have the whole of Western Europe, which has a population of something like 500 million people, and you have Israel, the whole country, let alone Tel Aviv, metropolitan Tel Aviv, 3.5 million people, many highly educated, go-getting, entrepreneurial mentality here. Let's talk a little bit about the success rate. You have 500 million people in Europe, 2 or 3 placements. Tel Aviv, several times more than that, right?
Absolutely. Since we've actually existed, which is just over 2 years, we've managed to place over 100 various different skilled professionals into the digital spectrum. Whereas when we tackle the European market, we found that, and it's exactly as we predicted, it's a very saturated space with regard to recruiters.
And very inflexible as well, right?
We were always up against at least, another 10 recruiters with lots of experience in the industry, lots of contacts. We found ourselves placing, but very slowly. Average placement life cycle takes at least 6 months in a lot of cases. And it became a certain kind of a market that wasn't really worthwhile for us to really focus on. With Israel, on the other hand, there is the same kind of level of standard. They do expect the best of the best, but there is volume and there is actually the talent there that does tend to move, which helps.
Yes, indeed, and certainly Tel Aviv is one of the epicenters of the development sector of the online trading industry. Abroad, you see the customers and the business, both on the B2C and B2B side, you see the customers, but something like 20 or 30% of all online trading technology, whether it be digital gaming, digital online forex trading, platform companies, software vendors that support this digital gaming sector and digital trading sector, are Israeli companies founded by very energetic startups. So I think that is something which you've got really a lot of expertise in. Right?
Absolutely. In terms of that space, it's exactly what you just said. It's 20% probably of the whole world's digital spectrum is coming from Israel. Companies that I think the rest of the world probably aren't even aware Israelis are, for example, Viber.
Yes, that's a very successful company.
You know,
indeed.
and if we look at the gaming industry, we've got companies like 888 who are established here. We've got companies that are British companies that have nothing to do with Israel, seem to be setting up their marketing and technology hubs here. So
companies like William Hill do all the development. They do all online development here in Tel Aviv.
Gala Coral is another company that's just opened shop here, and it's all down to the talent. I think that a lot of these big corporations that have a lot of the time no connection to Israel yet open their R&D divisions, their marketing centers here because of the talent.
I agree.
People are considered the best in that space.
And very, very much non-bureaucratic. Very much the seed is sown and then it's up and away and go, and it's a very, very quick development cycle. Now the thing is, this is very interesting because in my opinion, selecting talent for the online digital space, whether it be Forex companies, whether it be online gaming, whether it be the developers and technologies platform companies that provide the technology for such companies. Generally speaking, there has been a lack of that kind of service worldwide. You have many people in this particular industry, they stay in the industry, but they progress themselves by moving from one company to another because they know they've got to know somebody within another company. Something comes up and they progress themselves like that directly. So how do you select? I see what you're doing as a big asset to the industry, but how do you specifically select a relevant key people for a business, and how instrumental is finding those people compared to, I think personally it's the same as customer acquisition is vital, talent acquisition to run the company and actually bring the right kind of ethos into the company is equally vital.
Absolutely.
How do you go about that?
So what we found is that, I agree, that's one of the reservations even that we had. We assumed that in Israel, you know, especially because everyone meets in the army and they make their network, their connection there, you'd think that actually what would happen is that it's just word of mouth recruitment. But actually what's been happening is that a lot of our clients are in a position where they may even know the best of the best in the industry, but what they struggle with is the ability to persuade them to maybe leave their current job and then overlook the full recruitment process, which is not as straightforward as some people may think. There are a lot of things that can go wrong. They can get a counter offer from their current employer. They could find something else whilst they're interviewing for you. There could be a problem with the negotiation at the end because the expectations weren't met at the beginning. There are a lot of things that could go wrong, and especially to a recruitment company that knows what to foresee or basically knows what to preempt throughout the whole process can help with that process and can actually ensure that you do get the people that you're looking for. On top of that, I do believe that although, you know, there is that mentality of I know who I need kind of thing, I know who the top key people are, there are always new talent that you don't know about, you know, and I mean, I can tell you this even from ourselves, you know, what we do is recruitment to our clients, but when we recruit ourselves for GameStar Search, it's a big time consuming exercise, which we all have to do, but it takes a lot of time. And if it comes to actually also sourcing for the candidates, it's, you know, it's a full-time job.
It is indeed, and specialising is important too. So, for example, if let's say I'm a relatively established online trading company, and I come to GameStar Search and I say, for example, I need the best marketing director in the business, or the best product development director who's going to then do a whole infrastructure program for 6 months. You've got specialists who know those people personally, am I right?
Exactly. So what we've decided to do, as well as focus on just the digital industry, we also have headhunters that specialize in each vertical, which basically means that we have specialists on just marketing positions, specialists on just technology positions. When a new role or position from our clients comes to our desk, what we end up doing is we already know off the top of our head top 5, top 10 people. We know to approach them. We have good relationships with these people, regardless of whether we placed them in the past. Most of our candidates we do actually know personally because we meet them, but we do end up knowing who the key people are, and that means that the delivery is much quicker as well.
And the value of actually paying a fee to find such a skilled employee or executive is eventually a cost save to the company on the basis that they're getting the right kind of talent to drive that. But you understand their needs, what needs to be achieved by the companies looking for that particular professional, and then they place them with the company, and they get a relatively long-term career. You can call it probably 2 to 3 years, right? Because that's a long-term
in Israel, yes. Career. In Tel Aviv, I think that seems to be.
Yes. So it's a cost saving on the basis that the company gets the right professional, pays the fee, and then is able to expand their business because of that.
And it's not just that. What I find that, and I've seen this many times, and we're very fair with our clients. We always advise them as what's best. If they tell us, listen, we have a time frame of we need to deliver or launch the product within the next 6 months, we have time to deal with finding marketing people, then we always say to them, listen, do your thing. You don't have to use us if you don't need to. But what usually happens is that they start looking, takes them way longer than expected, and they have a few dropped offers that the candidate didn't take. They come to us at a point that they really are practically running out of time. It's a month to launch, and they are ready, to start strategizing marketing-wise. And that's when they know that time is of the essence. If they were to delay any longer, they would actually end up losing a lot of money. Product is live, no one's marketing it. Time is money, ultimately. So this is one of the reasons that I find that mostly if it is an urgent hire, which all of Israel is urgent, everything's urgent, everything's yesterday. So what we end up doing is we actually find a way to ensure that all their deadlines are hit, and that means that they end up saving a hell of a lot more costs than paying for that fee, which in return is it's a minuscule cost to get the results they're looking for.
Yes, that makes perfect sense, and I think it's the right. In a way, what you're doing is you're helping as Dan Cena and Saul Singer said, the startup nation. You're helping the startup nation in its quest to find the right talent to make those startups get to market even quicker, and therefore benefit the online trading and online gaming sector worldwide.
Yeah, and not just that. What we find is that there is almost a constant search for those key talent that ideally have had an exit in the past, because they, for example, if we're talking about developers, R&D people, they're the ones that build those products. Most of the time, they're not just executors. They're the brains behind the product.
That's very interesting, because if they've, let's say one of them got financing, which is quite easy to get in Israel. It's a very business-friendly environment for startups. If you've got a good idea, you'll get a backer, and then that's it. If they've succeeded in and had an exit, then what you've got is a whole you've got personal relationship with a bank of people who have succeeded in a startup and have not only the technological and marketing aspect, but the business acumen to help another company succeed.
Exactly. And what I find as well a lot with the individuals themselves, not the co-founders, not the ones that actually came up with the concept and then profited from the exit. I'm referring to the individuals that actually do the legwork. They are gold dust.
Right.
Everyone wants those types.
Indeed.
And what we find is that although, like you mentioned earlier, regarding, why can't they just do it directly with all the connections they have, most of the time they can't convince those people to move on. Why should they join them?
And even if they do, this is a thing, even if they do, if they are a key person and they've got they are specific, let's say a trading platform or an auxiliary piece of software was invented for a trading platform by a specific engineer whilst he was working for a specific company. If he leaves that company, that's it. They're going to lose the whole source code for that particular system. So they probably will then go, okay, I'm interested in going somewhere else. And then go back to their CEO, say, I want to leave. And the CEO will do everything he possibly can to stop that person leaving. How do you then satisfy
We actually just dealt with this situation
really?
very recently. It happens very frequently. Counter offers is something that a headhunter is trained to overcome.
Even if there's equity involved.
Absolutely. There are, especially here, counter offers can be very creative. They can be anything from
shares,
we are going to relocate
equity.
you to the States, something that's very attractive to a lot of people, and cover your visa. There is also the actual fact that they will get more money. Sometimes they double the person's salary in the
Or
counter
give
offer
equity
stage.
or something.
They give more shares or
Yes,
equity in the
yes,
business.
yes. So it's
Lots of things can be pulled out of the bag. But what I
Absolutely.
find still, regardless of whatever you get thrown at you, the minute you make the decision to resign, whatever your reasons were before actually going ahead and doing it, they're never going to go away. You know,
Right.
even if it's just purely financial, the feeling of wanting to move on, that's an emotional thing as well.
see.
And I
Makes
know
sense.
that, you know, I think a lot of men wouldn't admit that, but it's a factor where your brain is tuned to move on.
I get that.
You know, half
I
your
understand that.
the
I
leg
get
is out
it.
the door.
That I get.
One of your legs.
I get it totally, because the mindset of the startup of a very creative innovator who has designed a very clever piece of software or trading platform or gaming platform or something like that, once he's got where he's got and he's seen that succeed, even if he's going to get shares and more equity, he's looking to develop the next thing.
Yeah.
So and that is where Tel Aviv is a particularly successful epicenter of technological design in this particular industry.
This is what we found as well, that what drives a lot of, not just developers, a lot of, you know, project orientated or tech savvy people, is the idea of building something from scratch.
Definitely, yes.
And once that's done, and it can take time, you know, building a product from scratch can take 2, 3, 4, 5 years in some cases. They're happy to get on with that until that's done. Once the exit is done, a lot of the time the dynamics change completely. You know, a corporate starts owning your company, your small little startup. And that's where the drive goes, you know, to be there. And this is why we are there to really know what's going on the ground.
Yes.
We're fully in touch with all the different exits that are happening. Of course, there's companies that aren't doing as well. So, of course, we're on top of knowing who those companies are so that we can deal with those employees as well. But I think overall, you know, making that as a full-time profession for us helps us to be able to deliver to our clients' needs.
Excellent. Well, that is very interesting. I certainly think it's something which Tel Aviv, and generally as a result of that, the wider online digital space will most definitely look at closely.
Yeah.
Anne, thank you very much for joining us.
Pleasure. Thanks, Andrew.
My pleasure. That was Anne Kuznetsov, Chief Executive Officer of GameStar Search. I'm Andrew Sachs McLeod of Finance Feeds. Thank you very much for watching. See you next time. Goodbye.